Okay, and look at that. People are joining us, which is wonderful. Very good to see everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today for what will be, I am sure, another fascinating insight into the sector at the moment. And we are talking about a joined up approach today. So hopefully by now everyone is familiar with Zoom functionality. If you're not, where have you been for the last 18 months? But have a look around the screen in front of you. Any questions, fire them in the Q&A there, or anything you've got to contribute in the chat. Please drop us some messages. As I always say, it's very nice to hear from people when you're sat on this side of the screen, just staring outwards. Hoping that people are listening in, so please do let us know, and by all means feel free to contribute to the conversation. Plenty going on in the industry and the world at the moment, so hopefully we'll keep it relatively narrowed down to our sector, but as I say, lots going on. And today we've got Andrew Walsh, founder and CEO of AW Repair Group, and Michael Golding, network manager of LV, joining us. So, before we go too far, huge thank you to our corporate partners who you can see on the screen there: BASF, BMS, CAPS, Copart, Emax, Integral, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Innovation Group, Mercer, Nationwide Vehicle Recovery Assistance, S&G Response, and Sherwin-Williams, as well as our partners Aztec, the Green Part Specialists in Darsa, and Prasco UK. There are our two panellists for today, and we're talking about a joined up approach. Lots to narrate on and comment on there from these two people, because there's a link between the two businesses, and so we will talk very much around that and the benefits it brings each party. Disclaimer before we get going too far: so the views and opinions expressed during the following webinar are those of the individual contributors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the contributor's employer, organisation, committee, or other group or individual. Please respect any or contributions, and we encourage you to join the conversation via the interactive functions available. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen there. So a slight change to the norm, and I will hold my hands up here. The data that I usually share, I've had a little bit of an issue here on the home network, in the sense that the document disappeared just before we came on air. So I will retrieve that. That will be posted out anyway, as everybody knows. But looking at the data, just an insight that we see. So Apple, again, we're seeing the pretty much stability across those numbers at the moment. We've got our TomTom, or our Google data, should I say. Again, slight increases in terms of that return to work, which is kind of, a lot of people argue, is the key point there. We've also got the TomTom data. We're seeing very much, as we saw last time we were on, very much a return to those peaks and troughs throughout the week, and also those kind of uplifts on Friday, Saturday and Sunday traffic. And then we've also got the Department for Transport for their stats for September. We are pretty much, I think, as an average, 100% back to car usage across the month. But again, very much based on those peaks through the weekend, and slight reductions throughout the week as it stands at the moment. We've got ourselves a bit of a fuel crisis going on at the moment. We've got ourselves some energy issues as well. And I know Andrew's going to touch upon some of those for us. But welcome along, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, first and foremost.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Good to join you.
Absolute pleasure. So I will, if I may, come across to you first then, Michael. So a little bit of an insight from your perspective at the moment, i.e. what's kind of, the news flash for the last month or so, if you like.
Volumes have continued to come back, which is good. There has been lots of challenges ongoing at the moment, whether it's staffing, parts. We've only just got over the whole furlough COVID, and it feels like there's another big hurdle in the road to get to. So I think for us, it's doing that continued supporting the network, understanding what they've got, one of some of those challenges, and how that reflects in how we operate, whether it's the SLAs, the KPIs, a whole list of things to be able to get a better understanding of the overall impacts to our whole network, really. That's the main thing at the moment that is creating an issue. We'll get over it, but it's a current problem.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Michael. And Andrew, from your perspective?
No, I'd agree with all of that. I mean, certainly, it's what's happening now is going to impact all of the SLAs without a doubt. I mean, you mentioned to me this morning, Mark, how have we coped with the shortage of fuel? Luckily, it's not been too bad. Think about it a little bit more down south, I believe. But I think what's more threatening to us at the moment is the energy crisis, because that's not just the UK, that's across the globe. So yeah, it's going to put a squeeze on everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll come back to that, because that was a conversation we had this morning when I threw that out there, and you pointed me in the direction of the energy crisis. So we'll come back to you on that one, Andrew, if we may. And certainly valid points. And again, people feel free to drop into the chat there how you're experiencing any impact of the fuel crisis where you are in the UK at the moment. So tell us a little bit about your respective operation. I'm sure those tuned in will know, be very aware of AW Repair Group, very aware of Michael Golding and LV and all the stuff you guys do, but just kind of as a top line overview for those who are tuning in. Recent events, have they changed anything about, how you operate, how you do, how you see things? Come to you first, Andrew, if I may.
Well, yes, we have opened 2 more sites since the pandemic, so things have changed for us. It's I would say the last from the November lockdown to when we reopened in Easter was probably the toughest period we experienced. I think most people would agree with that. As we started to open up, it was that was very welcomed, because it was getting to a difficult patch then. But yeah, we're 18 months down the road, so a lot changes in 18 months anyway within a business. But we're rocking and rolling as normal.
Rock and roll, that's what we like to hear. Goodness me, we'll come back onto that rock and roll very shortly. And Michael, from an LV perspective, has it kind of changed the outlook from what you guys are doing or had planned to do?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we are really conscious of is trying to make sure we support the network in relation to especially things like volumes. So where, pre-pandemic, there were occasions, and to be fair, through pandemic time as well, where surplus volumes, repairers can utilise staff on things like, overtime, or, they had extra staff to move things around. What we're finding is those volumes are really critical. So good communication with a network, just to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help those repairers, because we've got to always try and remember there's a customer at the end of every journey from a repair. And we've got to try and make sure that the customer's engaged into those scenarios where there are parts problems. Staffing issues, and I think it's really critical that we have a complete joined up approach, customer, repairer, LV, to understand what those hurdles are in front. So for us, it's a lot of work that we're doing within the team and within our network is to ensure that we understand that and we appreciate that, but that gets escalated through the whole business and the customer.
Yeah, great stuff. And Andrew, can you tell us a little bit? So in terms of obviously your business, the sites all slightly different in terms of what they do. You've obviously got a great relationship with LV across certain sites, but can you elaborate a little bit more on that in terms of how you do work with LV?
No, they're not all different really, Mark. They all follow the same pattern, the way that we work. We have 3 sole supply sites with LV, and 9 of our 11, I'll correct myself on that from what I said to you the other day, Michael. 9 of our 11 are also LV owned sites too.
Okay, yep. And that's okay. And in terms of that, if you like, and again, I don't want it to turn into, I said to you guys earlier, a kind of an AWLV kind of, appreciation society, but you guys are working closely together. There's no two ways about it across those sites. Michael, you're doing this with other repairers as well. And Andrew, how does that kind of translate within your business in terms of, what benefits does that bring you, that kind of working relationship?
We first had our discussion summertime last year, 2020. Now, the year before that, we had actually contacted the Carbon Trust, and we was as a business, we was looking into that. So really catching up with Michael on what LV's, what their involvement was going to be, not just reducing carbon, the whole piece. Diversity, inclusion, health and well-being. It really helped us. We was already working on this, but the involvement that we had really helped us bring it to the fore much quicker. And I was able to speak to Michael about what they was doing within LV. And I think also as well, when you start to talk about other repairers in the industry, what they're doing, what they're proposing to do, that helps too.
Yeah, definitely. So it kind of relates back to that communication piece from what you spoke about, Michael, there, and from a perspective of where you guys sit with LV, the sole site operations. Again, flip it on its head in terms of what does it give you in terms of a business. From your side?
I think the benefits for us is the sort of very similar to the benefits of the repairers. So there's one source of work, there's one type of customer. I do appreciate if you're a repairer, whether it be a group or independent, if you have multitude of agreements, like many do, it can be quite complex, not just for the VDAs, but the reception. Us insurers, we're a funny bunch. We like all different things, and certain schemes and certain agreements, and it can't be easy. And I think with sole sites, you get a number of things. One of them is obviously that one customer, one process. But with the close working relationships, we can really work hard on trying to remove a lot of the complexities that can be associated with any typical insure repair agreement. And I think it enables us to have some really open and honest conversations. There is a big commitment from anyone that goes into a sole site operation, and they have to have trust and faith in that insurer provider. And I think what you start to build on that, but it gives us lots of other opportunities. We're always trialing different things, different pilots, different schemes. Some work, some don't work. But I think what it does give you is gives you that transparency. So it's that transparency to sort of say to them, this is what we need from a sole site. This is what our customers want. And then from the other side, Andrew can say, right, this is what I need to keep this site open, dedicated to you. And there's got to be that mutual understanding and trying to, get to that right level where you both get what you want and you can both benefit from it. And that's, I think, is really critical to it, because we want to bring many of our network on board with this journey, where we want to take the whole customer journey. And I think that's really critical. And we are on the eve of evolution, if you like, within technology. So we need to make sure that people like Andrew and his business can do the right investment, have the electric vehicles, have the sustainability model. So we're able to offer that back out through to customers.
That's great stuff. And Andrew, we obviously, kind of what Michael said there, underpinning all of this, transparency, that kind of trust, if you like, that two-way relationship, the communication, real, if you like, basics of business, of human nature, if you like. And that allows you to do the other things, the bits that kind of, people see in the media and and all the good things that you do with that. Now, again, how does that kind of translate in terms of the business that you've spoken about, the CSR and the kind of environmental stuff? You're obviously running, electric vehicle training. You've got all of that now in place, big apprenticeship program. Just explain a little bit more about that in terms of, the AW way, if you like.
Well, all of that you've mentioned, Mark, is happening to every business, whether you like it or not. It's a changing landscape. The environmental impact, which addresses the carbon neutral side. So you can, as a business, you can say, I'm not quite ready to do that just yet. I've got more important things to do. There'll be a lot of that, not just in the body industry. I think in every business. But our approach is much more joined up, and actually always has been. We have a good look at everything, and we set out a plan. And I kind of go back to what I was saying earlier. That plan was kind of already there, but we probably didn't really know how to go about it in the way that we have. So catching up with Michael last year and was really useful. It made us do everything we needed to do, the CSR piece. So I think we've pretty much ticked off everything. So if you was to visit our website, look at our sustainability pledges, which is planet, people, performance and price. There's also a short video there of me explaining why we chose PAS 2060 as our carbon plan. And that is very much ongoing. So all of that, it's a massive piece of work involving a lot of people. But for me, if you're a professional organisation, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's fair enough. And it's fair to say, Michael, that kind of LV have, I'm going to use big words here, but sort of pioneered this approach in terms of that real CSR piece, the environmental piece, the electric vehicle piece, the backing the auto raise with the apprentices and this kind of stuff. You would argue, hey, you saw all this coming. Now, it's arguably it has been kind of moving that way, but are we likely to see even more kind of movement in these areas from not just yourselves, but supply chains as a whole? Is that the direction that everything's moving, and will it happen kind of quickly at a pace now?
I think the way I saw this, and this whole journey started, to be honest, in the middle of 2020 lockdown, when felt like the world switched the lights off, or at least turned the dimmer switch down anyway. But it really gave us an opportunity to think about the future, and done a lot of engagement with some of our sell-side groups, obviously including Andrew, to started talking about environmental. So there was a lot of work being done within LV. And as always, I try to translate that to, okay, what does that mean to the network? What does it mean to repairers? And I saw it in two ways. One, obviously, it's the bottom line, it's the right thing to do. Whether you're talking about the planet, whether you're talking about people, it sort of underpins like an ethical business model, which I felt that a lot of the network repairers were bringing together, but in different sections, and they were doing all lots of different good things, positives, but there was nothing to sort of try and bring it all under one sort of heading. But I also saw it from a commercial advantage point of view as well. So a lot of businesses, as Andrew has pointed out, need to be doing this. If it's LV may be doing this, if you like, early adopters, but all large corporates are going to be looking at and saying, okay, you're part of our supply chain. What are you doing for the environmental campaign? And us as a LV, I think it's only right, it's only responsible that we work with an ethical supply chain. And I think that's important. Probably it's important today, but it's going to be more important tomorrow. So it's really about gearing your business up, changing the direction, changing some focus, but also we all obviously understand and we need to appreciate there has to be a commercial element to to this as well. So getting yourself ahead, and talk about getting yourself ahead of the curve, I was a very strong believer in, because I thought if we can use the support of some of the soul site groups to help influence that, we can help take this in the right direction. And I think when we started looking at just environmental, it soon turned around. Under our language, we call it corporate social responsibility, but it is people. So, we start talking about, again, apprentices. I think my own honest opinion, apprentices was almost like a nice to have, or it's good if you can get the right person. Now it's business critical. Absolutely. What all people should be looking at, regardless of what industry they're in. But it's also around the mental health, how we can support staff and having things in place, and obviously the diversity as well, which has been one of those challenging conversations, especially when you start getting into the subjects around gender pay gap and all these manner of things, conscious bias. But I believe that the industry and some of the leading businesses within our body repair industry, I think those people are some of the right people to help LV drive that. And that's how it's all come about, and it's working really well.
Great stuff. Well, there you go. Couldn't agree more with lots of what you've said there. Just looking at the messages coming on, but we'll just I'll read those. But I'll pass you, Andrew. If I come back to you, so there's lots going on in the industry at the moment. There's lots of challenges. We've spoken about the fuel crisis. There's comments about parts issues. Michael's picked up on kind of the apprentices, the skills. You yourselves got a great apprenticeship program going on. We're talking EVs. How are you as a business, and this is a very broad question, but tackling those, Andrew, yourselves, and how does it help having a partner such as LV? And again, let's not try to go down too much that road, but having partner support to do these things.
Well, you touched on apprenticeships there, Mark, and we've actually got our showcase apprenticeship event this Saturday at our Lincoln site, and Michael's attending. I think we've got another work partner who will be attending with us as well. Almost all of our suppliers are supporting us as well. So we always find we get lots of support when we launch one of these events. We've probably got now, I did look earlier, I think this next cohort that we take, we're looking at 15. We've signed up 12 already, 12 really good young people. We want to go for the 15. So hopefully there's almost 40 youngsters attending, so it's going to be a good show. So we should get our 15. And that's what we will do every year. We would have done it last year, obviously the pandemic. We did it in 2018, we did it in 2019. We'll do it again next year. And we've got to keep backfilling with these young people, because we've seen recently with lorry drivers, I think the average age of a truck driver is 57. Because the haulage firms have just failed to recruit young people, and they've relied on a lot of migrants. So that's another industry that we've not taken on apprentices. Our industry, I think most people know it's the average age is 47. It's not within AW, which is great. Just keep on doing all those things, Mark, that people tend to leave, that doesn't need doing today. There's more important things to do. But you've got to always plan for the future. So,
yeah, that's very, very true. Very true. Quick questions just come in, Andrew. Which retention rates of apprentices? Is there any stats, figures that you have personally, or?
Yeah, well, there'll always be those people you take on that just do not work out for whatever reason. Mental health being one. That's so prevalent now in our business, and I think also that people will perhaps hide behind that banner, but it is definitely there for a lot of people. We know that. We've got the mental health champions in place, and they're really just a route for us to provide professional guidance and advice. Really, we're not saying that we can tackle that. We would like to just provide that conduit, if you like, to get the person the right advice.
Yeah, great stuff. Michael, there's a comment come in, and I'll just jump back to you on this one. What if the supply chain isn't taking the steps you would like them to? Now, kind of, does that starts to impact the network? Does it? And do you, what is there support available in terms of nurturing people along on this kind of path that you're taking?
Yeah, I mean, LV obviously is helping to drive the Green Heart standard, not just within the motor repair network. We're looking at other sectors within the supply chain as well. And, just recently our building network has also taken some very large steps in this area, among some others. I'm fortunate to be part of an internal group around corporate social responsibilities, and I think it's fair to say that we've been proactive in trying to engage with our whole supply chain. Honest opinion, I think many others need to get further involved within the sort of accident repair supply chain, and I think they will come. But I think there's been that whole piece where they're having to learn, and to be honest, we're doing the same. We're still learning. We're trying to gather information. You got to remember is that it wasn't until the start of this year that we had our first site that became PAS 2060. So we're only 10 months in, and we have 19 out of our 25 cell sites that are actually PAS 2060, and that's a huge volume. What is necessary is a very short space of time, and I think it's great, and that's credit to a lot of those business, obviously including Andrew Walsh, which was the first group to become PAS 2060. So I think that the leaps and bounds that have been made, and I think it's just really important that the supply chain and us don't lose the momentum. We've got to keep pushing. And I think that sort of general approach to keep pushing the boundaries has just got to become normal activity now onwards, really. And I think it's great that the body shop industry and some of those key people that have become, whether it's PAS 2060 or any other kind of environmentally conscious, I think that's the way forward for them, both because it's the right thing to do, but equally, it's also, there's some commercial benefit there to be had.
Yeah, that's great. And sat here, what I'm hearing from both of you, it's very much a two-way street, this journey. I don't think, nobody's going to be kind of led there kicking and screaming. It's got to be, you've got to work in partnership on these things, and almost that kind of taking responsibility for yourselves, which, Andrew, you said you were kind of already there, and Michael coming along kind of, put the wind beneath the wings, perhaps. So it's really interesting conversation. So we're rapidly running out of time. I told you it would go in a blink of an eye. If there was one thing right now that you believe is the key to an effective supply chain relationship, what is it? Do you think it will evolve in the near future? Andrew, come to you if I may.
Well, obviously at the moment we're going through such a skill shortage. We always have had a skill shortage in the body industry, but it's really squeezing now, and that will prevent body shop groups from expanding perhaps as quickly as they would like to. And we've obviously got the technological challenges as well, and we've addressed that with our recent announcement with Thatch, and we thought that was fundamental to do that, to get the training and awareness with all of our people. That was something we decided to do. But when there's a shortage of anything, the costs will go up. So we're going to see costs rise naturally anyway, particularly wages, every business has to make a profit. So I think having a good relationship with your work partner, that makes those conversations going forward much, much easier. I don't know what you think, Michael. I mean, obviously you're fully aware of the labour squeeze, but then again, insurance is a massively competitive arena. But all repair networks will be going through exactly the same problem.
Yep. Absolutely, Michael. Closing part on you then.
Yeah, I know it's an easy way to say, and Andrew's mentioned it, but it is relationship, and it's also having appreciation. So, if you have an understanding and appreciation of how the insurance sector works, and then for the insurance to have a good appreciation and respect for the accident repair industry, you can find that common ground. And where typically, in some occasions, that repair insurer relationship can be strained, I think you've just got to work hard to get over that. And by having that mutual understanding, that correspondence between each other and communication, you can find that common ground. And I think the relationship has never been so more important. And I think you've just got to work hard at it. And as I say, just understand each other's business and support each other. And that's going to be critical going forward.
Great stuff. What a way to round things off there. So I'll just stay on the line for 2 seconds, and huge thank you to our corporate partners: BASF, BMS, CAPS, Copart, Emax, Integral, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Innovation Group, Mercer, Nationwide Vehicle Recovery Assistance, S&G Response, and Sherwin-Williams. And of course our partners: Aztec, the green part specialist in DARSA, and Prasco. A fascinating discussion, guys. Thank you so much for that. People listening in, please drop us a comment, leave a message there for these guys. They're giving up their time for a very open conversation. And I have to say, sat here listening in, it's a fascinating dynamic that is playing out across the industry right now. Many, many challenges, which I think have been well documented, highlighted by yourselves today and others in previous weeks. But it's the way we kind of work together to get around them, which I think is going to be the real key for all of us moving ahead. No man is an island, or person is an island, are they? And we all need the support of networks and everything around us. So fantastic stuff. Really appreciate your time, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this webinar. And we'll catch up with you all.
Thank you, Mark.
Very soon. Take care, all.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you, Andrew.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, guys, I'm going to just hang around and scoop up some comments. So thank you very much for that.
Unfortunately, we're off air now.
There's still people in the room, so
I didn't address the question there, Mark, about the retention rate, which I think is really important. And I didn't do that on purpose, actually.
We'll follow up on that. Don't worry.
Percentage to that, but it should take us to about. After Saturday, it should take us to about 28 apprentices, including the first cohort. So I'm really happy with that.
That's fantastic. That is brilliant.
They're all
really, really good.
Their final assessment.
Right, guys, I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you very much indeed. We'll catch up with you soon.
See you tomorrow. Cheers,
guys. See ya.